Have you ever seen a house price online and just thought to yourself, is it really worth that much? Well, it turns out the pros don't just guess. They have a very specific, evidence-based method to figure it all out. And guess what? It's not magic. In the next few minutes, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you their entire playbook.
So, that's the big question, right? What is a house really worth? I'll give you a spoiler alert. It is not the asking price you see on some website. Nope. The pros have a system, an evidence-based approach to get to the real number. And that's exactly what we're about to break down for you.
Okay, so the entire system, and I mean all of it, is built on one simple but super powerful idea. It's called the principle of substitution. Honestly, it's just pure common sense when you think about it. Imagine you're shopping. A smart buyer is just not going to pay more for something when they can get a nearly identical one, an equally desirable substitute, right next door for less money. This idea, it's the absolute bedrock of how pros value property.
Right, so this simple idea, it's basically the one rule to rule them all. It's the core logic behind every single professional appraisal out there, and it all comes back to that basic idea of substitution.
And listen, this isn't just some good idea or a helpful hint. The principle of substitution is literally a technical, legal, and professional requirement. We're talking about something that's written into official national standards like the Philippine Valuation standards and even international ones. So yeah, this isn't optional. It is the only official way to do it.
So how do the pros actually use this principle? Well, it all boils down to three key pillars of evidence. Any property you compare yours to must be recent, it must be similar, and this is the big one, it must be verified. Recent, similar, verified. Get these three things right, and you are well on your way to thinking just like a pro.
Okay, this is where the fun starts. This is the real detective work of valuation, finding a property's twin. The entire game is about putting on your detective hat and hunting for clues, those other properties that are the closest possible substitute for the one you're trying to figure out the value of.
So, what clues are on our detective's checklist? Well, here's what the pros look for. First and foremost, location. It's king. We're talking the same subdivision, the same district. Then you've got the physical stuff. Lot size, the condition of the house. How recently did it sell? Does it have a clean title? And this one's crucial. Was it an arm's-length transaction? That just means it wasn't a sale between family members giving each other a special deal that messes up the real price.
But are all these clues equally important? No way. Not even close. Just look at this breakdown. Location similarity carries a massive 40% of the weight. And why is that? It's simple, right? You can't just pick up a house and move it. And look what's right behind it. Verification. It's so important because at the end of the day, an unverified sale price is just, well, it's just a rumor.
All right, so you've gathered your potential clues. The next step is absolutely critical. You have to screen out all the bad data. This is where we really start to separate the facts from the fiction.
And here it is, the single biggest piece of fiction in the entire real estate world, the asking price. Seriously, listings are just speculation. They're a seller's hope, their goal. Professionals, they pretty much ignore them. What they care about is the closed sale price. That is the hard evidence. That's the verified fact of what a real buyer actually pulled out their wallet and paid.
Let's make this even clearer. Professionals literally think in terms of a data reliability hierarchy, like a ladder. At the very top, with 5 stars, you have the gold standard, a verified deed of sale. That's pure, undeniable proof. And all the way down at the bottom, with a measly 1 star, hearsay. I heard my neighbor's cousin sold their place for... The whole point of this exercise is to base your final number on data from the top of this ladder, not the bottom.
This brings us to what I think is the golden rule of this entire process. You should probably tattoo this on your brain. If it's not verified, it is not reliable. That one simple mantra is what separates a professional analysis from just, amateur guesswork. If you can't prove it, you can't use it. Simple as that.
Okay, so in the real world, you're almost never going to find a perfect twin for your property, right? That's where the art of adjustment comes in. This is the clever part where professionals scientifically account for all the little differences to, well, level the playing field between the two properties.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The more adjustments you find yourself making, the weaker that comparable property is as a piece of evidence. Think about it. If you have to change 10 different things just to make it kinda sorta match your property, you probably picked the wrong twin to start with.
So let's look at a super simple example of how this works. Let's say our comparable property, we'll call it Comp A, it's sold for 10 million pesos, but it's on a corner lot, which is generally seen as better than our property, which is on an interior lot. so we have to adjust its price down, let's say by 5%. Then we look at the condition. Its condition is just fair, but our place is in good shape, so we adjust its price up by 10% to compensate. After we've leveled that playing field, its adjusted value becomes $10.5 million. See what we did? We made it more like our property on paper.
Okay, we've found the clues, we've verified them, and we've made our adjustments. Now it's time to bring all that evidence together. This is the moment where our property detective reaches their final verdict.
Now listen up, because this is a huge mistake a lot of people make. The final value is not, I repeat, not a simple average of your comps. This isn't grade school math. A real professional gives more weight to the strongest piece of evidence. The sale that was the most similar, the most recent, and the most rock-solid verified. It's a justified conclusion. It takes professional judgment, not just punching numbers into a calculator.
So, let's bring it all home with a quick rundown of the critical errors you need to avoid. Think of this as your what not to do list. Whatever you do, don't use asking prices as your main basis. Don't ignore how much time has passed or what the market's doing. Definitely don't compare properties in totally different locations. And for goodness sake, don't use unverified, unreliable data. These are the classic mistakes that will absolutely torpedo any valuation.
Look, if you remember just one single thing from all of this, please make it this final professional rule. The entire philosophy can be boiled down into this one sentence. Select the most similar, most recent, and most verified sales, then adjust minimally, weight properly, and justify fully. That, right there, is professional valuation in a nutshell.
So there you have it. You now know the exact method the pros use to figure out what a property is really worth. And that brings me to one final question for you to chew on. Now that you know all this, what's the biggest mistake you see people making when they try to judge property value in your own neighborhood? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.